Greetings, subscribers and future subscribers. Welcome to the channel. Today, I will be going over data extraction from images. I was working on a personal project, and I do get numerous projects that involves data extraction from images and PDFs, so I decided to do a video highlighting how I get this done. The objective of the hand is you have an image that contains some text, and you want to pull that data from the image in an automated way. I will be using PowerShell with AWS Textract to do this. I have already done a video highlighting how to configure Textract on your machine. I will link to it in the description below. So here are some image files that we will be working with. Now these are just some PNG images that contain some historical values for trading of gold futures. Uh, we have a date, a time, an opening value, high, low, and a closing value. These are the values that we are going to be interested in. And we will want to rename our file. We're going to rename it with the date and time of the image. We're going to extract these values and put it into a CSV file. So let's look how we can get this done with PowerShell. Okay, first thing, let's set our directories. We will be using a drop directory where our images will be dropped, a process directory where we will move the already processed images, and the CSV file location where we will write the data from the images. Okay, great.
Next, let's put the title column in our CSV. We do that with this line of code. I just want our time value, open, close, high, and low values. Okay. Now, let's process out our images in our files directory one at a time using a for loop. So, let's set our for each loop. Close it off. Okay, so now we will call Textract, and I go over exactly how to set up and configure Textract in my other video. So I won't explain how to set this up, but basically these lines get the written text from the image. We set our image to be the full name, full path. We store image bytes, and then we call the find text document text on that image byte, put it in results, and then we sort of pull out each line of text with this command and store it in AD, in a variable called AD. So let's do it on one image so we can see what the text looks like. So if we go ahead and run this, run it. Let's open our image so we can see the date is here, the time 1830, open is 2523.97. So if we go back here and let's just run our AD, get our date, our time 1830. Our open is 2523.97, etc. Okay, great. So looking at our return results, we have our title and then the value right below the line. Okay. So for instance, let's say we want date. We have the word date in our variable, and then the very next line is the value we want. Okay, so we grab that with this line of code. Basically, we find the word date and then grab the very next line using this context. We store that in our variable called date. So if we run this, you can see we get the date and we store that in our date variable. So let's do that for all the values we want. Okay, and these ones have a replace on the comma, and that's because we're using a CSV file and the comma will throw off the alignment. So I want to remove the commas from my value, so I just call it replace comma with nothing at the end here. Okay, so now we have all the values that we want and we store them in our variables. Now we need to write these variables to our CSV file, and we can do that with this section of code. Basically, we store all our variables in an array called cont. We then replace all the new lines with commas and store that in content. Then we join that by a comma and store that in our variable A. And then finally, we add to our CSV file that value, which will be that row of data formatted correctly. Perfect. Well, now we want to move that file and rename it. And I want the name to be basically the date and time field. But if you look at our date and time, it contains special characters. So we want to remove these. The apostrophe and the colon can be removed with these lines. Our date, we remove the space and the apostrophe and replace that with nothing. And the time, we remove the colon and replace that with nothing. And we store that in our date formatted and time formatted. Then we set our name, our new name that we want the file to be called, which is basically our process path that we specified earlier, our date formatted underscore our time formatted .png, and then we move that, which should be image here, to our destination, which will be our process path with our new name. And that would be how everything looks. Okay, so let's run this and see what happens. Okay, so I loaded some files in our drop directory. Here are just some files here, and our process directory is blank. So let's go ahead and run this. You can see our files are coming in now, and our infos.csv file got created. Okay, so that completed. The files are named appropriately with the date and time. So if we open up our CSV file, we have our time, open, close, hide, and low values that can later be used for processing. And that's it. That's how you would pull data from an image, rename an image, and store those values in an Excel spreadsheet. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. This has been brought to you by AIP Solutions.